evening, everyone. Here we go. Oh my, I haven't been interested in making videos lately, but I had to make this because I am telling you this narrative about the elves. Oh my, it just gets more and more. It just doesn't stop. And you know what? I mean, honestly, it's like it's in our face anyway. Ourselves, themselves, myself, yourself, everything has elf in it. And I'm sure there's a reason for that. I believe that we're just a blend of all of the races, the dwarves, the giants, the elves, whatever else is out there. I mean, I don't know, you name it. I think it's anybody's mixture. So I was researching about Tolkien, and there's a lot of Tolkien information that overlaps Yggdrasil. And that's not really what got me into going into this video, but I probably will be making a video in that regards. But I got into researching the wells. There's 3 different wells of Yggdrasil. One of the main ones is the well of wisdom, and there's the well of Vergelmir. So this idea of the well of Vergelmir is the main one that resides at Mount Sumeru. And I was listening to this video describe about how the water at Mount Sumeru, at the Iron Mountain, the whirlpool there sucks in water, and then it subsequently pushes it back out like it's breathing. And this is what creates the ocean tides throughout the world, because there's 4 whirlpools that are found in the 4 corners of the world in the ocean that have been documented by sailors. So this video is going to be very interesting to go and look at. I'll leave this video in the description box and you guys can click on the link and listen to it. But these are actual documented accounts that he lists about the wells of Yggdrasil. Basically, he doesn't say Yggdrasil, but he just talks about the different tides and the whirlpools. But when he mentioned Vergelmir, I was like, Vergelmir, okay, let me just go look at these different wells that are spoken of, because there's 3 wells, and the Norns are the ones who control the wells. So I'm just going to read this real quick so that we can kind of go over this. This is Norse cosmos owed their life to Yggdrasil, the great tree of life. Yggdrasil was the spine of the 9 worlds, hosting many mystical and interesting creatures within itself. It was watered by 3 holy wells in unique ways. The wells of Yggdrasil were respectively Urdarbrunner, Vergelmir, and Mimisbrunner. So Urdarbrunner is the first well that was believed to nourish Yggdrasil, and it was Urdarbrunner, or the well of Urd. Inside this well lived 3 Norns, past, present, and future. So it's Urd, Verdandi, and Skuld, who were associated with the power of weaving the fates of all creatures in the cosmos. The Norns watered Yggdrasil daily so that it would not perish. Whoop swans that drank the water from Yggdrasil, and they were extraordinarily white. I don't know what that means exactly. The mud beneath the well was the purest of the white shades. Interesting, right? It's a mud beneath the well was the purest of white shades. Doesn't make any sense because shade is actually dark. So I don't know what that means. 3 Norns, the well of, this is the picture of the 3 Norns. Let's just show you. There it is. And apparently they're like witches or something. I don't really know. Maybe they live forever. You've heard in some of these different movies, they have the 3 witches. And maybe this is what that's tied to. Where are they getting all this information from? Nothing is new under the sun, right? So where are they getting this information? They look like they don't have faces or something. They're blind. I don't know. The well of Urd was also the place for the gods to hold their court of justice. Every day the gods rode their horses to come to the well of Urd to hold the court. except for Thor, who always rode his chariot pulled by 2 goats. Doesn't make any sense. If Thor is a god, why has he got 2 goats? You know, they'd have to be really big goats, right? That the gods used the Well of Erd as their court of justice made us realize how important the Well of Erd was to the Norse pantheon. Virgelmir, hot spring boiler. The well was actually the first well to exist in the cosmos. In the Prose Edda, the well was mentioned to lie in the land of Niflheim, the land of frost and ice, long before the world was created. Somewhere nearby Virgelmir was Nidhogg, the serpent-like creature. Nidhogg was the dragon who gnawed at the root of Yggdrasil with the hope of making the great tree of life collapse. No matter how hard he tried to chew the roots, the tree just stood as straight as it always did. Only during Ragnarok, the Yggdrasil trembled for the sky broke. And here's just imagery. This is a drawing that they have. And underground, Nidhogg, the serpent's always gnawing at the roots, which means it's basically just the antithesis. So you have light and you have dark. And Nidhogg represents the darkness. And Nidhogg, by the way, is a worm. W-Y-R-M. And a worm only has 2 front legs. It does not have back legs. It's almost like a serpentine sea serpent in a way. Very interesting, but it's underground. Okay, so here's Mimisbrunner, and this is Mimisbrunner well, or Mimir's well, was the last well in Yggdrasil to be mentioned. Mimir's well was the well of wisdom, for it contained the holy water of knowledge and wisdom. Anyone had the opportunity to try the water in the well, and they would become omniscient. But only the ones who made a sacrifice to the well were allowed to try the water. Odin, the All-Father, once did a deal of trading his eye with Mimir, the guardian of the well, to have a drink of the holy water. Mimir was a very wise creature, for he drank the water from the well every day. Now, what did Mimir give is the question. I mean, did he own the well? Obviously, but so Odin gave one of his eyes in order to have the water from the well so that he could have wisdom. Now, from all of this, I was looking into this well and I came across some other information. Here's the giant Mimir. Now, it did not mention that Mimir was a giant in the other article, but this is the Well of Wisdom. And I was going on through this because I just wanted to know more about this and the Norns. You know, what are we talking about exactly? Because I've never heard of these things before. So in Norse mythology, giant Mimir usually appears in the company of Odin, the most powerful and wisest of the gods. The giant Mimir, however, can easily compete with Odin because he, like the Norns, possesses the wisdom that is not from this world. That is supposed to be just a rendition of what he looks like. He is the consultant of the gods and knows the secrets of magic runes and can predict the future. He is the god of knowledge and wisdom and is often called the god of prophecy. Mimir, which means the rememberer or the wise one, is a mysterious figure in Norse beliefs, and it is unclear if he's a god or one of the giants. 3 forms of his name are known: Mimi, Mimir, and Mimir. And this name has a strong association with the Latin memor, or memory, and the Greek memero, or care. Mimir is the owner of Mimir's well that keeps wisdom and understanding in the world. The well and Mimir's abode are located beneath the second root of Yggdrasil, the world tree. Mimir guards the well, drinks from it daily, and gains his wisdom from this source. He also feeds Yggdrasil, the sacred tree, daily on the waters from the well. And this goes into the sacrifice of what that Odin gave, but it's also, people go there, they want to have a drink. So many visitors come and ask for a drink, but at first they have to provide a sacrifice of some kind. The god Odin also attempts to access the sacred mead from the well. It's not mead, it's water. Mimir is aware of the value of such a favor. He demands a sacrifice in exchange for a drink from the well. All right, then I'll give you a sip, he says, but it'll cost you. The price will be your right eye, is what he told Odin. Whether Odin sacrifices the eye willingly or after some debate is unknown, but in the end, Odin drops his right eye into the well. How do you just drop it out of your head? The eye loss is the price Odin must pay to gain the privilege of drinking from the well. Now, why did Mimir's head end up in the well? From Norse mythology, we learned that after the war between the Aesir and the Vanir, Mimir was sent together with Honir to the Vanir gods. Known as god of silence and Odin's brother, Honir was indecisive and always relied on Mimir to make the decisions. It made the Vanir suspicious and annoyed, so they beheaded Mimir and sent his head back to Odin and the Aesir. Odin uses magic to preserve Mimir's head and often consulted with the beheaded god for advice and wisdom. Mimir's head is the wisest of all heads ever known, but it cannot solve all the problems. On the day when Fenrir threatens the destruction of the world, the mighty Odin seeks Mimir's advice. Unfortunately, Mimir's head, the wisest of all heads, cannot help him in this case. Stories about Mimir are included in the poetic Edda poems Völuspá and Sigurðarflóðmál. However, the story about Mimir's head is narrated only by Snorri Sturluson's Njállinga Saga, the first part of Heimskringla. Snorri probably either quoted poems that have not survived in the manuscripts, or he invented this story. I don't think it's invented. That I've seen the game, the Gods of War, recently. I don't own it, but I saw somebody else playing it, and I noticed that the character actually carries a severed head on his belt, which I thought was odd. And I'm wondering if that is what the association is with that. So they're always telling us stuff, and I believe that a lot of this stuff, even as weird as it may be, is possibly true, because there's this book that I have that's called it's like a compilation from Charles Fort, and Jordan Maxwell actually had the book, and he suggested people get that if you really want to know some weird stuff that's happened around the world. Just get that book. They're documented cases of things that are high strangeness to prove that this is basically an alternate reality that we actually live in, and it's a holographic universe. But it's a very interesting book. But I was looking at all of this, and what got me going was the runes. I clicked on this about the runes because I wanted to know more about the runes. I've seen them before. They're like sigils, little pieces of sigils that you can actually put together and make bigger sigils. They use them for magical practice and also divination. And as I keep digging, I'm telling you, I just keep finding more. So even as we look at some of the images here, for example, like this little envelope, this is actually one of the runes. That's one of the runes, and it's also the symbol for Freemason is this envelope. Even in our envelopes that we use to mail our documents in, they are basically shaped with the Freemasonic symbol of it's on their apron, and I'll show you that real quick. So here we have the Freemasonic emblem of the envelope, basically, but it's a rune. When you look into these runes, you see this, and I'm sure that it's just a sigil. All of this stuff is magical emblems and magical seals and sigil magic, and they're always using magic because they have the knowledge of it, and they don't want us to have the knowledge. We have every capability that they do, and they have actually been using it for black magic practice, summoning things. It's why they're in positions of power over us, because they've basically used the black magic to make us believe that we are beneath them. And this is a falsehood and a lie that, we need to take the power back and realize that this is our world just as much as it's everybody else's. But these people, through the wars and through thousands of years of fighting, have taken over our world, and we have to take it back. But that's not what I actually wanted to talk about. What I was amazed about was what I was finding after I was going through all these runes and looking at some of the different things. I was finding that they actually have a language that it was spoken of. They have, and I was clicking through all these different websites, and I came across the Elfdalian language. Elfdalian language is an official language, and it is from Old Norse. So, yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. It's Germanic, but it's also a real language. Elfdalian is a North Germanic language spoken by about 2,500 people in this Älvdalen municipality, Älvdalen, in northern Dalarna in central Sweden. Elfdalian is considered to be a separate language by some linguists and by SIL International. Elfdalian has developed in relative isolation since the Middle Ages and maintains a number of features of Old Norse not found in other northern Germanic languages, not even Icelandic. As a result, Elfdalian differs remarkably from Swedish and can be difficult for other Swedes to understand. A runic alphabet known as Dalecarlian runes was used to write Elfdalian until 1900. The Latin alphabet was also used to write Elfdalian from the 17th century. What do you think about that, guys? The elves actually exist, and they are us. So these runes actually coincide with a lot of the runes that are in Norse cosmology, even in the Norse magical practice. And so what I was doing, after I was looking at this, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm just going through all of this information, clicking on links, clicking on additional websites and things. And I come across more information. I came across the legendary Harald Bluetooth, King of Denmark, who made the Danes Christian. What does that tell you? Number one, we're learning a lot about the misleading information that has been out there in Christianity that is now starting to show its true colors. But, coming across this guy, Bluetooth, King of Denmark, I went, wait a minute. Bluetooth, what is this guy? First, let's read about Bluetooth, okay? Yeah, you guys are going to love this. You're going to love this, what I've discovered. Okay. Harald Bluetooth was the younger son of Gorm the Old and Queen Thyra. His father, also called Gorm the Languid, what is he, lazy? Was the first historically recognized king of Denmark. Oh, here we go. Yeah, okay. See, I haven't read all of this, but he was recognized as king of Denmark because, guys, from all of my research, the Golden Age, there were no kings like this. There was no one to rule over anyone. There were wise men and wise people, wise women too. Everyone was helping each other. There was no rulers, though. Nobody was ruled by a government. People had different advisors and councils that they could go and talk to, but there was no one who was the head honcho, so to speak. So you see that like these kings were put in positions of power as they marched around the world and inciting wars and then establishing a ruler over land to suppress the people, basically. Oh my gosh, it's so disappointing that we have given in, but we're the innocent people, we don't want to fight. That's the thing. It's like they're going to go around and suppress us and oppress us because we're easy to push over, because we're just humble in our lifestyle and we don't have greed and control issues. Oh, anyway, okay, so this guy became king of Denmark, reigning from 936 to his death in 958. Harald was the father of Sven Forkbeard and grandfather of Nut. Yeah, Knut, like coconut. I don't know, this is ridiculous. Look at this guy. Who's this guy? Hey, he's got blue eyes. Oh, part elf? No, I don't know. Maybe the evil elf, because I tell you, these people, there's good elves and bad elves, of course. So that was a painting or image of Bluetooth. Yeah. Why Bluetooth? What was, he had rotten teeth or something? The German historian Adam of Bremen mentions that Harald Blotend was married to Queen Gunhild on a rune stone standing at Sondervissing Church, south of Silkeborg. A woman who calls herself Tove describes herself as Mr. Jove's daughter, wife of Harold the Good, Gorm's son. So Harold must have been married twice. The year of Bluetooth's birth is unknown. However, according to records of his achievements, he was born sometime around 920 AD, according to ancient sources. Harold Bluetooth Gormson was king of Denmark for nearly 30 years, beginning in approximately 958 AD when his brother and favored son of Gorm the Old was killed in England during attacks near Ireland. It's kind of boring, y'all. Sorry if I'm boring you, but I just wanted to go through this stuff. During his reign, Bluetooth united the outlying tribes of Denmark. He defended his people from many Norwegian and German incursions while overseeing the completion of vast construction projects that strengthened his country's defenses. Basically, he usurped the lands, just like what they're doing, just like what they're still doing to this day with the way they created Israel and blah, 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 and the way Saudi Arabia is just taking over small towns and creating whatever they want. That's what's happening. They're still doing it. So he's a skilled leader. Yeah. Now on and off the battlefield. Bluetooth is equally known for casting off Norse pagan traditions. So, okay, this is the meat and potatoes right here. Bluetooth is known for casting off Norse pagan traditions. That means anything of the earth, okay? Anything to do with natural applications, knowing the magical practices, all this. He became a devout Christian who strove to peacefully convert the people of Denmark during his rule. I'm sure. I do not believe that this person was peacefully trying to convert people, because as we know, they marched around the world, forced this book and this idea of the Bible into people's hands. The people were slaughtered if they did not accept this new religioning of the mind. That's the truth that they do not want you to remember. Most people have forgotten about all the Inquisitions because it happened absolutely everywhere. Yeah, so he also commissioned many important construction projects in his country during his reign. That means basically deconstructing different things. That's what they did. They marched around and they destroyed stuff. So in Bluetooth's legacy, there are so-called rune stones, monuments that usually honor the dead and their deeds. Oh, death cult, y'all, death cult. He used the very best counselors and artisans for the job. I'm sure he did. 2 people carried out the carving on the stone. The decorations came first, and the runes were struck by a runic craftsman. It took a full year to complete the entire job. Bluetooth wanted to be remembered for some specific achievements. Therefore, he erected a runic stone intended to last forever. He converted to Christianity in 965 and erected a rune stone in Jelling with the inscription, Harald, who conquered for himself the whole of Denmark and Norway and made the Danes Christian. You see this? See this stuff? Now, let me see if there's anything good that we need to know about this. Well, there's 2 massive burial mounds at Jelling. That's probably giants. Apart from a silver goblet, the northern burials have been removed. Of course they have. They're basically telling you there was a couple of giants there, or maybe more. Excavations in Jelling Church in the 1970s located a 10th century chamber containing a disarticulated male skeleton. It's now believed that the northern mound was erected by Harold in 959, a memorial to his parents. Oh, God, y'all. This kind of stuff. After his conversion, he had them removed to the church and was also erected the southern mound, which became a cenotaph memorial to himself. Harold is credited with several massive public works, which should be viewed in the context of Danish conflict with the German emperor. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Very interesting carvings, but still, this guy, he's a fraud. All right. So we know what he's done. It says he built a series of circular fortresses at strategic locations throughout his kingdom. They are named after the example of Trelleborg in Sregeland, but there are other examples of Frikiat in central Jutland. Okay. Well. Oh, look at this. Interesting, right? Okay, right on the page, runestone. Haraldur. So this is an H. Interesting. That's kind of interesting. So what, I haven't quite gotten this language yet, but what I did find out was, you got to see this. Look. What do y'all think about this rune? This is Bluetooth, guys. Bluetooth. Why do we have a sigil on our phones that we click on and off when we want to listen to the Bluetooth? What does it mean exactly? Well, I was doing a little digging with that too. I was like, what is this? What does this mean? What kind of sigil are we, employing in our world besides the one with the Freemasons? This one's in our world too, guys. We've got other people's magic, not only the dollars and the money that we use in all the countries with all the sigils, black magic sigil stuff that we carry around with us all the time. We have stuff like this. And of course, I started looking, I started digging. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, let's go find it. All right, so basically what this is a combination of different runes. And what I grasped was that this says, this means serpent. Isn't that fascinating? Serpent, really? This little X thing, serpent. Now, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to like overlay these things. So this is the binding runes. This is what you're supposed to do. So you take a rune and you can lay them on top of each other and flip them around and do all kinds of stuff. So I wanted to kind of let y'all see what that looks like, because this is some binding. This is magical practice. See, so you take all these little things and you can start making little designs. This is how you do sigil magic. These are all sigils. So this is someone else's magic. I would never take something off the internet and try to use it for what people say it's for, because that's dangerous. You might bring in something that you do not want, like Solomon's seals. They're absolutely used for black magic and summoning things. So don't ever do that. Make your own. That way you know that it's safe. Now, back to Bluetooth. So we got the binding runes. That's what you do, is you combine just a couple of them or whatever, and you can make some different things. Even these, I don't trust these. I would make them myself. Okay, so this is what the Bluetooth thing is. It's a B, birth. And then we already saw the other one, serpent. So basically what happens is this B overlaps this, and because this little X becomes part of this B, it's still there. So the other just makes the triangles, and it overlaps these sticks coming out. Yeah, birth, the serpent. That's what we're carrying around in our cell phone. When we click on that little Bluetooth icon, or it's on our little devices too, our little speakers and stuff. Why? They're birthing the serpent, y'all. Birthing the serpent. Okay, let's see. I know I say things 2, 3, 4 times. That's just because I'm busy in my mind. I'm like, okay, let me see what else I've got for y'all. Going back to some of this language, I want to know more about it. So let's continue reading. I'm going to look more into all of this, the runes and things, because as you can see, here's some of the other ones. Like this is P. So this one, and looking at this, and then looking at that other elf done, you can kind of see that some of these are the same letter, but that they look different. So this is going to be important when, we're trying to decipher what these actually are. They just have different shapes here. This B is also birch. It's birth and birch, which I found interesting because back in the pagan days, they actually knew about the power of the trees. So the druids, what they call druids, I think they were actually elves, because they have a language called Ogham. And Ogham was actually a language that they carved onto trees. they read it like up and down. I think it goes up. But as you can see, it's almost like the runes. And it was all these little notches that they would put into a tree. And someone could walk up and just read this. Fascinating stuff. So I'm on the trail of deciphering some of this to be able to read some of the things that they have. So here is the Ogham script. And the G is silent. So it's Om. It's like Om. So Om was carved in red from bottom to top, just like Chinese. You know, Chinese and Japanese, they write up and down. So that's going to tell you that some of the similarities of the processes of language are still being used in other parts of the world. Yeah. So, you know, I am going to look into learning some of this and trying to decipher and decode some things, because I think these are very valuable languages. These lost languages are going to bring us back home. There's a lot of power in the voice that we have, and we have lost that power because of what they gave us. They gave us Babel language. That's what Babylon was about giving us a different form of language so that we would be disempowered and we wouldn't be able to use our magic, our God-given magic that we have. Our innate abilities are lying dormant. And this is one of them, the sound frequencies that we emit. All right, so let's get back to the elf language. All right. Until the 1950s, some people in the Elfdalian speaking regions spoke nothing but Elfdalian until they went to school. At school, children were discouraged or prohibited from speaking Elfdalian until the 1970s. Since the 1980s, efforts have been made to preserve and promote the language, particularly by Ulam Dalska, the Organization for the Preservation of Elfdalian. Dictionaries and other books have been published. A standard orthography or Elfdalian was devised in 2005 by Rojaram, the Elfdalian Language Council, and an Elfdalian medium kindergarten is due to open in 2016. That is amazing. And honestly, I want to learn. I want to learn how to speak Elfdalian. Wouldn't it be simply amazing if we learned this lost language and then all of a sudden the elves, the old Eldar or elder race, somehow started coming around again, because they live for hundreds, if not thousands of years, guys. They tell us in Rings of Power and Lord of the Rings and all these other movies, they live for hundreds of years beyond our own. And if we spoke the language, wouldn't that be amazing? Because we would be able to communicate. They're waiting. I'm telling you, they are somewhere in this existence. I know they are. I feel it inside me. And we are just the lost race too, because we've lost ourselves. We've lost the knowledge of our true history based on all of these years of wars and things. Wow. Okay, so C, Q, X, and Z only occur in names and foreign words. There we go. Elfdalian pronunciation. Okay, this is going to take some effort and some research to try to look up some of this stuff and see if there's an online thing that, you know, teaches people for free. That would be amazing if they had something that teaches people. So that way we could just learn for free. I mean, why has it got to be hard? This is why I say, okay, so going back to Tolkien and, you know, how he came up with his language, how he came up with an entire world. I think he was overlapping the Norse cosmology. I truly think that he was overlapping it and that he was trying to get the information out to keep it alive. And I believe that the elves are somewhere in the world and they've been interacting with our governments, because we, the little people, do not live for long enough to know them fully. And because of their knowledge and because of who they are, they were actually, I was looking into that whole thing. And in Tolkien, it talks about how they were the first race. They are the Eldar, D-A-R, not to be confused with Elder, is what it says, in Wikipedia or something, not to be confused with Elder race. That's just a coincidence. I'm like, no, it's not. Etymology is there for a reason. And so, I think they really exist. I think we're on the road to finding out about them and about us and how we are part of them. And we're just descendants. We are far, far descended from them. We do not have the pointed ears and stuff, but they still look like us. I think we're going to find them. I really do. And they might be the ones who are zipping around in UFOs trying to take care of all the grays that have been given power. So, and maybe they have little grays themselves, little cyborg robots that are hive mind that try to help. And maybe that's where this whole notion of the grays that the government has and has been convening with, or we've been giving them suits or something. There's something weird going on. And, my thoughts are forever evolving on this, but I just do not trust the government at all and all of the things, the nefarious things that they've been up to. I think that they've been unleashing hell on earth. I even came across some information where it said that they were using black magic to summon things even in this country. And I said, absolutely, absolutely. That's in some videos, and if I can find those, I'll do a review on those. But because I traverse so many things, once I'm on something, you can see all of my little tabs up here, because all of these pertain to what I was looking at with the runes and Yggdrasil. And then finding this, I was like, oh my gosh, look at this gem. Oh my gosh, I love this. I'm so excited. I'm going to find my people, even if nobody else claims them. I do. I do. So anyway, yeah, let's see. So, oh, little prince, bit by bit, I came to understand the secrets of your sad little life. For a long time, you had found only your entertainment in the quiet pleasure of looking at the sunset. I learned that new detail on the morning of the fourth day when you said to me, I am very fond of sunsets. From the Little Prince. Sample videos about Elfdalian. Let's listen to this. This is going to be cool. Let's see what we have.
Hör på Linnea och Alice i Mångsbodarna. De talar älvdalska.
Nu är det varmt precis. Ja, men det är svårt snart. Innan det börjar att reda.
Det är mer än en dialekt. Älvdalsmål anses vara som ett eget språk med egen grammatik, egna ord och syntax och med sina egna rötter till svenskans ursprung germanskan.
Vi var med i raisen och flukat en blåbär så udom kuk fast det var Vasaloppe så hade de några servira där Vasalöpare kom och mångsbur och var ungruver. Vi var med i raisen och flukat en blåbär så udom kuk fast det var Vasaloppe så hade de några servira där Vasalöpare kom och mångsbur och var ungruver.
Interesting, huh? Now this is how they spell elf too. So they say alf. It's been spelled A-L-F, but this is probably the correct spelling of Älvdalska. This is the language of the elves. And here's another video speaking the language.
Var de uppe ett chock om skogsarbete. Och hade med motorsåg i början av 50-talet då, 1952 kanske. Så borde ha deltagit med en motorsåg så de ville ha en annan. Där var groven skog då. Och sen en dag så med mäten kom det till en kamera upp med då. Mäten så.
It's interesting because it almost has a hint of Native American tongue. What do y'all think about that? Fascinating, right? I mean, it's got like an overlay. You can kind of hear it. Okay, so here's a song. Let's listen to this. Interesting. Not what I expected, but Maybe that's not traditional. I don't know. I mean, very interesting though. Here's some more links for the Elfdalian language. I love this, so I'm going to copy all this and just start to explore because I'm fascinated by this. I know that it's always sounded Germanic to me. You know, when you hear them speaking a language in Lord of the Rings or something, it always sounded like it was Germanic. Sweden's lost forest language. That's what they called it, is the forest language. Wow, I'm excited for this. I mean, this is amazing. I love it. All right. Well, I'll put all these links in the description box so you guys can check it out and let me know what you find. If you find any more details about the Elfdalian language, where we can learn it and stuff like that, that would be amazing. And I'll see you guys on the next one.